know you talked about how this story is about discovering your inner child, which I think just seeing like Blockbuster and Toys R Us, that kind of pulled in my inner child a bit. So it made me wonder, what are some places that kind of sparked that inner child in you?
Ooh, places that, going home always does it. I grew up in Colorado in the suburbs of Denver. I used to work at Walmart. I was like the fastest checker in the history of Colorado Walmarts. And then I was the Menswear Choice Employee of the Month. So whenever I go into a big box store, it honestly reminds me of growing up. Reminds me of the time when I used to be a kid and my parents would take me to Target or something and they'd say, okay, you can have one toy.
You got your passport? You got to leave tonight. Can't I just stay? Oh, how? I'll just lay low.
Jeff is so frustrating with some of the choices that he makes because you root for him. But it made me wonder about like all those choices in our lives, and it made me think, what's a decision in your life that you feel had the biggest impact?
Whew. Well, some decisions are just happenstance. Like I happened to meet my wife. I don't know, I guess the decision to go to the place where she was going to be, but how do you know what's going to happen when you make these decisions? Yeah, I don't know. I would say for this movie, maybe it was to cast Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's many actors that could have done this. But, I think the character of Jeff, and in casting Channing, I had this conversation with him many times. Channing said that he was one or two decisions away from becoming like Jeff. One or two bad decisions away. And I think that's what happens with Jeff. I think really when you see the power of your decisions is when you make the wrong decision.
True. So was there a point that made you finally decide on Channing Tatum?
The point that I decided on him was when I took a walk in the park with him. In that walk in the park, I realized that the most important thing in his life was his daughter. And that was probably one of the turning points for me, because I knew that the most important thing in Jeff's life had to be his kids too, and that pain of not being able to be with them. Yeah. And I know Channing also related to that as a divorced parent, sharing custody, and I figured that was something we could explore together.
Yeah. Well, and I know you also spoke a great deal with Jeff. Obviously, I think I read 4 years, 4 times a week. With those conversations, what's something that Jeff told you that you felt said the most about him?
It was really more about Jeff's heart. He did have this inner child in him. When you speak to him, he sounds like a boy. He sounds like a boy in a man's body. And so to me, that made a lot of sense why a guy like that would choose to live in a toy store, not choose to live in the woods. He had to connect with that inner child.
Who do you want to be, Jeff?
Roofman is now playing. Check AMC Irving Mall and Alamo Drafthouse Cinema Los Colinas for showtimes.